I'm lost and a-looking for my baby. Wonder why my baby can't be found. I'm lost and a-looking for my baby. Lord knows my baby ain't around. So I'm lost and a-looking for my baby. Wonder why my baby can't be found. Lost and a-searching for my baby. Lord knows my baby ain't around. Crying for my baby, crying all alone, calling for you. Come home, come home. I'm lost and a-calling for my baby. Baby, won't you please come home? I'm lost and a-calling for my baby. I need you 'cause I'm so alone.
I once was walking down a street and saw an entire wall of a building covered in photographs. Some of them were good, some of them were great. Some were easy to look past, but that's only because I didn't know their story. I didn't know their 1,000 words. I can remember the site as a whole, but out of the hundreds of pictures to view, I can really only remember one, a picture of graffiti that simply said, "Why are there things instead of no things?" question of creation. Where does everything come from? It makes more sense that there should be nothing instead of something. If it's nothing, then it's nothing. But to have something, to have things, matter, energy and space to move around in. We accept it because it's reality, but it's very bizarre. All of us living our lives because they exist. To exist. E-X-I-S-T. It's the X that holds the key. Letters aren't in words by accident. Language is no fool. There are reasons why certain letters are in certain words. All letters have their time and place, but there is no letter that carries such a tone as the letter X. What are the words that contain it? Perplex. To enter a confusing state of mind. Complexity. The difficulty of understanding. Exercise. To improve. Exit. To leave one destination for another. Sex. If there's one word in the English language deserving of an X, it is most certainly sex. Exist. Because somehow life is happening. X never means one thing. If you pay attention to where X pops up, it's almost always within words that describe a convergence of separate entities, polarities that are binded together, which is the shape of X. X marks the spot for a reason. So what is existence? This sensation of life, this tingle of being, this perpetual blankness of experience that exposes and expires simultaneously, creating this sensation of life. It's easy to say life is life and write it off at that. But what's feeling the tingle? To be more accurate, what's feeling your life? Is it your brain? Is it your heart? Is it your spirit? Is it your soul? Is there a difference? Is it your collection of particles? If a collection of particles is all that's required, what prevents a stone from feeling life? A stone does or does not feel life. Who's to say that a stone doesn't feel every moment of its existence, declaring to itself, I am stone? Thinking, actively journeying into the invisible jungle of metaphysics, it's not what determines life. In order to be alive, a stone need not think about life. It only needs to feel life. So the question remains, what feels life? What was the first soul to feel life? My parents' souls felt life before mine. Something felt life before them. Something felt life first, and that's important. But just as important is who has the largest soul. Are all souls equivalent in size? Do souls grow throughout their time span? Or are they the same size from our birthday to our deathbed? If all souls are equal, mine is equivalent to yours. Then are our souls equivalent to dogs and mice and plants and insects? Of course, there are those that don't consider dogs and mice and plants to have souls. But clearly, life is in them. And that's all that's required to own a soul. If souls are not equivalent, if there is a difference between souls, a better or worse, then that is also important. It's said that the Big Bang is how everything began, as if that answers all the questions, as if that's the beginning. What about space? Was space contained in the Big Bang? Where is there no space? How can space be put where there's no space before? If space was contained in the ball of everything before the Big Bang, what existed in the space that space now takes up? Space was not contained in the ball of everything, or there is a vacuum in which the vacuum of space is residing. If that were to be the case, then space is nothing materialized. The universe had to come from somewhere. The Big Bang is not the beginning. Even if it is the beginning of us, of this, why would the Big Bang happen? A tree doesn't start with its seed spark. The wind that blew the seed to its eventual growing ground is part of its story. The animal that ate the fruit's flesh that caused the seed to fall on the ground is part of its story. And the parent tree and how it came to be are all part of the seed's story. The story keeps going back and back and back and back. The universe has either always been here or it had a birthday. If the universe had had a birthday, then something created the universe. Whatever created the universe, is that God? Does our definition of God fall completely under that answer? Or, now that the universe is here, is whatever controls us throughout our lives, is that God or neither? Is God just a judge after you die? What's God? What is God? The word tends to mean four things: the creator of everything, the controller of everything, the judge of everything, and the meaning of everything. If we found out that those four facts are not the same thing, which would we label God? God, loosely labelled, existed before, the moment of, or after the birth of this universe. If God existed before the universe, it means that there was time before the universe. It also means that everything is not contained in this universe. If there was a time when the universe did not exist, then God must have existed somewhere else for that time, thought of the universe, and created it. If this were the case, was God all there was? God and only God? Then for some reason, God wanted to create a universe, created it, and billions of years later there's us. If God existed before this universe, and God is all there was, wherever God was, is that somewhere else existent within a three-dimensional notion as we understand it? Or is God on another plane, a higher dimension? Or a more simple one? If God is everything outside of this universe, is this universe God's only universe? If it is, it is. If it's not, it's not. If God wanted one universe, why stop there? God may have created multiple universes. Did God create them all at the same time, or one after the next? Did God make them all the same? If there are differences between God's universes, are those differences purely a matter of taste? God wanted to see all that was within God's power. Or is God learning from one universe to the next, improving, working towards something? What would God be working towards? And if God feels that one universe isn't as good as another, then that means that everything God creates isn't absolute perfection, at least in God's standards. We think of God and we think of our relationship with God. But what is God's relationship to the universe? To us? What is God's benefit to being God?
Hello? Hey, what's up? what's wrong? No, it's okay. Okay. Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay, tell me, what is it? Hey, what's up? How are you? Yeah. I'm okay. No. No, I'm okay. I'm okay. Can I call you after class? Okay, bye.
A terrible mistake was made. The weight would break the backs of 10 strong horses. Tried to save the castle in the flame. If you knew that I could take the pain inflicted at the battle with faithful arrows, you might get back in the saddle. But it's a special death you saved for me, the brown-eyed daughter. Once you made it hotter, the thankless holy place is left alone. Why bother to cast a stone in the water? La 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 la
Oh, here we have Mrs. Houdini. How are you? I missed you. Come in, sit down, have a seat.
I thought I should come by.
I would think you should.
Yesterday when I left class, I found out like 10 minutes before class, like I got a really bad phone call, and I thought I could make it through, but then it just caught up to me, and I just had to go.
Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you say anything?
I just had to go.
You just had to go.
Yeah.
I mean, Amelia, you didn't say anything, you didn't ask.
I just had to leave.
Okay. Amelia, seriously, is everything okay?
I don't know yet.
Okay, well, I mean, you're gonna have to separate your personal life from your business life.
I know. I tried to, but But yesterday was...
Yeah, I know what yesterday was. Yesterday was more important than my class, apparently.
What?
This is the thing. If you ever pick up and leave my class like that, you and I, we will have a serious problem.
Are you serious?
I mean, who do you think you are? One second you're in the class, the next second you're not.
I had to leave.
Dude, you just had to leave. Pick up and go. Poof, go.
Yeah.
Amelia, you said nothing. I mean, you didn't ask. You didn't say anything. You didn't even ask me.
It had nothing to do with you.
Missing my class has nothing to do with me. Okay, thanks a lot. I'll remember that. Thank you.
Okay.
Good afternoon.
I just won the white carpet award! Oh my gosh, I didn't even know they submitted my thesis paper from last year. It says, there's a ceremonial dinner this Thursday in Washington, D.C.
Come in. Come in. How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
It's been a hectic year. What can I do for you?
Well, you know our 324 classes we have on Friday mornings? I guess Lazalas, he taught last Friday. I was wondering, are you teaching this Friday?
I was supposed to, but I'm not.
How come?
I was told that whenever I teach a class, it was going to be in the cathedral building. No exceptions. Now I'm told that this Friday, the cathedral building's booked up. The music department wants it for a concert. So I'm not teaching.
Okay. So you're sure you're not teaching on Friday?
Absolutely not.
Okay. All right, well, that's all I needed to know. I will talk to you later.
Yeah.
Hello?
Hi, I have a question. I was wondering, are you teaching class on Friday?
No, I'm teaching the last week of the term.
Okay. All right, well, that's all I need to know. Thanks.
If God is our creator, are we God's imagination? God's daydream to pass the time? A mental tale God's telling itself for its own amusement? Or God's dream at sleep? God's unconscious unraveling for God's interpretation? If we are God's dream, do we disappear when God wakes up? Or do we never stop and God dips into us? If we are a dream or a daydream, an inner visual mental escapade, is God only watching, viewing life from the outside? Is life God's actions or God's metaphysics? If the latter, what does that mean about our own metaphysics? If our universe and existence is God's metaphysics, is reality real? Is reality permanent or dependent on God? If God is immortal, there isn't much to worry about. But can God die? Is God already dead? Can this universe exist after God's death? If so, was that God's intention? Or is this universe God's child? If there is more than this universe, is there more than God? For instance, is God confined to a body? If so, then everything that is not that body is not God. If God is confined to a body, there is a possibility that the universe is inside God's body, is God. Or perhaps the universe is a growth off of God's body, God's wart. If God is not everything outside of this universe, who's to say that God isn't one of many gods? Do they perform as a team, as a machine, exerting energy to ensure things perform perfectly? Or is our universe the neutral ground for the gods to determine supremacy? What is the hierarchy? Is this a sport for God? Gods? War? If God is alive, does God have to intake substances to maintain? If so, what are those substances? Again, what is God's relationship to this universe? What is God's benefit to being God? Are we God's food? If so, is God hunting? Is God farming? Our own bodies require us to eat the flesh of other creatures to survive. And we cannot eat old bodies. The flesh must be newly dead, must contain the remnant of life. If we require such ingredients to live, why would God be any different? What does God dine on? Instead of flesh, does God dine on the soul? If so, God would create life to eat life, instill morals like spices. Or perhaps we're God's horticulture. God is one who plants a seed and tends the plant, adding nourishment whenever necessary. Are we God's houseplant, vegetable garden, rose garden? God may very well be Johnny Appleseed, one who disperses seeds and moves on, one who grows orchards for survival, for control. If we are a plant in God's dimension, there is the possibility that we are wild, a weed, a dandelion, a flower in an undiscovered jungle. Of course, that would mean that God is unaware. That is, if the universe were a wild plant in a different dimension that had beings of whatever sort that went on with their lives, whatever they may be, and in the course of those lives just never knew we existed. But then those beings wouldn't be God. God would then be the nature of that dimension. Of course, another possibility to our existence as plants in God's dimension is that we are a bouquet, a collection of living ingredients put together for the sake of God's sensory pleasure. Are we God's pets? Inferior species being contained for the amusement of the superior species? God's pups? Are we fish in God's aquarium? Is space another water? If so, how much control does God actually have over us? We may determine when our fish eat or have clean water, but the pattern in which the fish swims remains completely up to the fish. What would it mean to be God's art? Is this existence God's play? Is God making this right now? Are we at the forecusp of God's creation, experiencing our lives simultaneously as God creates the next moment? Or have we already been written? A book God wrote in the past? Is a book alive even when no one is reading it? If not, and someone besides God is watching God's movie, who then is God? The being that made this, or the being that put us on the projector? What is a movie, a book, a play, Their stories, mythic dances. Are we God's myth? An avenue for transcendence? Something to connect to that other place? We love to connect. Getting lost in a story. Dancing. Being in the zone of sports. Meditation. Letting yourself go in love. Drugs. Are we God's drug? Are we the after effects of God taking a hallucinogenic? Is God eating the fruit off of a particular berry bush, creating a universe appearing in God's mind, enacting itself out as long as the drug is in God's system? Has God ever stopped eating the berries? Will God ever stop eating the berries? If God trips us from berries, who then is God? The being that ate the berries, or the berry bush? Or whatever planted the berry bush? And most importantly, where did the seed come from? If we knew more about the seed of life, then we'd know more about our purpose. Why we're here. If we're even here for a purpose. What difference would it make if we were intended for a larger purpose or not? If we were thought out by a being for the benefit of that being, or if we weren't? What is God's attachment to people? Are people God's main concern? Why would God care about people? Did God create life to get to humans? Or is there another ultimate goal? Is God our coach? Are we all players on the court, performing and executing by our own strength and will, but under the supervision of a hopefully wiser perspective? Or is God our guide, someone to lead us through the museum of life? Who is in control of my life? Me or God? Who deserves the credit when I achieve? And who deserves the credit when I fail? Is God judging with reincarnation in mind? Is our performance in this life to justify why we become what we become next? Are there only so many souls, a particular number, and they keep getting shuffled around and around, recycled for different reasons? Have we all been bugs and plants and animals of all sorts? Throughout generation after generation, through the course of this reliving and reliving, is the order of new lives already determined? Or does one life have an impact on the next? Is it immediate? Is there a layover? Does one soul move on to a new life randomly? Or is it rewarded, punished? If it's random, it's random. If your new life is a punishment or a reward, what's the basis of what we're supposed to be doing? Being good? Making money? Getting smarter? Reproducing? And what happens as a reward for achieving whatever tasks we're being judged upon? Is it our pick of creature? Does God give us the free will to choose our next life? Does God pick if we do something wrong? Does God have a quota? Who would pick to be most insects or a rat? Or is there no choice? As soon as one soul dies, it enters the next available womb that's being conceived at that moment. If it's as predictable as water running down a drain, then where's God's judgment fall?
So I heard we had portfolio reviews on Friday.
Where were you?
I was in DC. I won the White Orchid Award.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there was a ceremony on Thursday night.
Well, when you didn't come to class, we just took it as a big fuck you.
Why? Why would you think that? Why would you automatically take insult? Why wouldn't you think I was hurt?
That's what we figured.
Well, when did you even let us know we were having portfolio reviews?
We sent an email out Thursday afternoon.
So now what?
If I were you, I'd go around to the other two professors and apologize.
Apologize? For what?
You're not sorry?
No.
Come in. So, what happened on Friday? Why didn't you come?
I was in Washington, D.C. My thesis paper from last year won the White Orchid Award, and I went to go pick it up. They had a ceremonial reading there.
You know the school's policy on portfolio reviews.
Oh, I know. You guys have drilled it into our heads since day one that missing a portfolio review is the worst thing you can possibly do.
So why would you do it?
I didn't try to do it. I didn't even know what was happening. I didn't get that email you sent because I had already left.
I can tell you we were all quite disappointed you didn't show up.
Well, but now that I've explained why I wasn't there, why are you still disappointed?
It's the principle of the thing.
Well, I asked if you were teaching class on Friday, and you said no.
You know, I really liked all the papers you wrote for me last winter, but you're not showing up. It just makes me believe you don't really want to be a pastor.
What? I don't.
What?
I never planned on being a pastor.
But you know that they allow women to head many churches these days. On my recommendation, 18 of my students are now leading their own congregations.
Well, those weren't my plans.
Well, maybe I'm confused. I thought that's why you were here. I thought you came here to learn to spread the word. At least that's the indication I got from all the papers you wrote me. Was that because I was your teacher? I'm going to ask you this very plainly. When you leave here, do you intend to spread the word of Jesus Christ?
Not in that way. Listen,
I see.
I...
But yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, once I tie up all that other stuff, I think I can do it. Yeah, it doesn't look too bad. Yeah, no. Sure. Okay. Yeah. Shut the door. Let me give you a call back. Sure. You got it. Thanks a lot.
I wanted to come by and explain things.
I'm going to take a wild guess. You want to explain why you missed your portfolio review, the biggest day in the eyes of the entire faculty.
I received an invitation to accept an award on Thursday night, and I knew that we had class Friday morning, so I tried to get permission, And I already knew that you had taught your class, so I knew it had to be one of the other two professors. And I went and talked to them both, and they both said they weren't teaching.
Let me ask you this. Did you get permission from the dean to miss my class?
No.
And who is the only person that can give permission to miss a class? I mean, I'm just going to be honest with you. You know what I think? I think you don't even want to be here. I think, getting up and walking out in the middle of my class, missing your portfolio review, and, from another professor I spoke to, you don't even pay attention in his class.
I do pay attention in his class. He just talks about nothing. He just rambles on and on and on and on and on. I mean, I write down what he says. You can read my notebooks if you want. It's just a bunch of nothing.
I mean, if you ask me, it just sounds, quite frankly, like you have a listening problem.
I listen very well.
Well, from what I've seen, you don't.
That's because that's all you want to see.
Are you getting an attitude with me?
No, I'm trying to talk to you, but you're not listening.
And now you're telling me I'm not listening.
I'm saying that you're not trying to hear what I'm saying.
Oh, you're going to find out. I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying.
I'm just...
Is there anything else more you need to say to me?
No.
Perhaps throughout life, karma, little treats for being good, fruit for the right path, snags for the slips. But how does God judge? Does God have 1 trillion eyes watching 1 trillion television screens, watching every life alive and judging? If God is not somewhere else collecting information through God's radio waves, and God is here in this universe, then where is God? If God does not have mass, is an invisible being only a spirit, then that spirit is either throughout the entire universe or not. If throughout, God can experience all. If throughout, God has to be in us. If God controls us, then we're God. If God doesn't control us, but occupies our bodies, does God feel my life? If God feels my life, then God can't judge, because God would understand. If God is in our bodies and doesn't feel our lives, is only there to watch, then God may be judging. But why would God judge? Either to deliver karma in this life, or for qualification or accreditation in between lives. Karma can only exist in a reality with an undetermined future. Otherwise, it's just a part of fate. If there is no karma, if there is no reincarnation, if there is no next life, there is no judgment. A one-time life. Is this life all we get? This one ride? What a difference that makes. If this is our only life and karma doesn't exist, what's to stop people from being as selfish as they want? If there is no ultimate right, people can only go against their own idea of proper behavior. Proper behavior then is the actions that lead to that person's idea of utopia, either in the present moment or in the long run. As long as there is more than one concept of utopia, there will be conflict.
I'm never gonna get this done.
So glad today's class was over. What a waste of time.
Yeah. So I guess you're probably going to be working on your paper all weekend.
Yeah, if I want to get it done by Monday morning, I'll probably be in the computer lab all weekend. I mean, I hate those keyboards. I'm stuck writing like 10 words per minute. Like kindergartens, you know? I'm used to like 60, 65.
Yeah. I tried typing mine the other day, and there's no way I can use those computers.
But you have to.
I can't. There's no way I can type 100 pages in 3 days using those keyboards.
Well, what if you got someone else to do it for you?
No one's going to type my paper for me. They're too busy typing their own papers, trying to finish them up. Besides, I want to type it myself.
What are you going to do then?
I don't know, but I've been working on it for 6 months, so I'm typing it.
If there is a being that judges, that did not create, did not control, did not know the meaning of life, it just invisibly watched and judged you, would that be God? Is our definition of God given because it judges, or because of the punishment that might be laid out? If the judging being has no power beyond determining judgment, are we that concerned? If one believes everything is completely in God's hands, then they can only act perfectly. There can be no true guilt, only negative vibrations from a particular event, as systematic as physics. God either has matter or not. There's either universal matter connected to God's mind, or there isn't. If God is spirit only, that spirit could be as big as the universe, or as small as dust, could be faster than the speed of light, or as stationary as the center of a circle. Or is God someone from the past, someone alive today? People, as far as we can tell, are the most interesting things in this universe. If God wanted to take the form of something, why wouldn't it be a person? We're up walking around, doing things, talking, taking charge. God might like to tap in now and then, maybe once, maybe more. But from the treatment people get who claim they're God, if I were God, I wouldn't mention it the next time I came back. Or God could be everyone, every man and woman. Has God been making itself into people this whole time, finally coming up with everyone alive today? Different parts of the same body, different parts of the same life. We are or we aren't. If there is no reality outside of this universe, and there is no physical or invisible spirit that is responsible for all creation and action, then God is the largest soul. So what has the largest soul? The universe? Space? Does space feel existence? Could energy be God? Electricity? What about light? Is light God? It moves faster than anything in the universe. It's very much a part of our creation. We are dependent upon it. But is all light equal? Or is there something unique about our sun? We have witnessed to a lot of stars, and they all can't do what ours can do. We can't find a single one that can. Is there something significant about our sun's light that is different than other stars? More than temperatures, does our sun contain something special? We used to worship the sun. Were we wrong to quit giving it our gratitude? Or is it Earth, Is Earth God? Is the one planet in this universe capable of having life, feeling life itself? We did not land on this planet. This planet grew us. We are from it. We are extensions of it. We are trees that walk. As long as we use this planet to survive, our roots are still planted, sucking on the milk of life, feeding from the breast of this boulder. Or is this planet just a rock? Maybe water is God. Could water be alive? What do we need more frequently than food? What does every living creature require? If we are forced to eat creatures newly dead, as in the flesh must still contain some spirit of life, why would what we drink be any different? If water is alive, has it been using us this whole time? Has water created us to do its will? Are we water's highest form of achievement? Or is it the components of water? Is it just hydrogen, oxygen? Could God be a single element? Could carbon be God? Or are elements unalive until they enter a bond with other elements? Is God the elemental recipes, the connections, the combinations? All of us stand on the periodic table. Is nature one? Is all of nature working together, felt collectively somewhere? Are we all sharing the same spirit of life? Or is nature a collection of many? One family or several? It's important in the way we continue. Should we care for other tribes? Or do we only look out for ourselves and those we consider family? How to handle this instinct for survival? If there is nowhere else besides this universe, if space has no soul, nor the planets, nor the stars, nor the elements, nor energy, and the only souls that exist are in beasts and plants, then the most dominant, the most powerful is God. Not because they are responsible for creation or events, but because they are the most supreme being. There is a fable about a crab who's telling another crab the story of creation, that life started, developed, and arrived at its most wonderful accomplishment, the crab. Perhaps it's vanity that makes us say that humans are what life was trying to reach. But crabs aren't building bridges, talking on cellular phones, and developing medicine. So if humans are the most dominant soul, what controls humans? The most significant influence in the lives of humans is the order and placement of souls. Is reincarnation a part of it? Or is each new soul fresh? The looks in babies' eyes lead one to believe that they arrived with something of their own, that there is a personality ready to grow and ready to show. So where does that personality come from? That inherent way of being?
I'm going to give this to you. This is my thesis paper. I finished it. It's called The Piercing Pressure of the Point of V.
Would you like to have me write a letter for you, taking your side? You could take it to the Board of Appeals, be reinstated, and come back next year and get your degree.
I just don't understand. I'm their student, and they're playing against me.
It's not your talent. It's not your grades. They want to make an example of you.
So where does that personality come from? That inherent way of being? From sex? Are we the way we are because of our way our parents had sex? Are happier people made from making love? Are angrier people made from hate sex? Are indecisive people made when one partner is holding on to love and the other letting go? Are boring people made from boring sex? Are more exciting people made from fucking? Are there consequences from the act of conception? Does the mother and father's mental and physical status influence the baby that's conceived? The body releases certain chemicals when it's with a proper partner at a proper time, and different chemicals when it's with an improper partner at any time. Those chemicals very well may have significant influence on the personality of the future child. If we come from sex, why wouldn't the emotions from that sex be part of us? Or that may have nothing to do with it. It may all depend on which sperm wins. We do come from cum. If the sperm wins that won, you're what's born. If the sperm that came in second got there first, you'd probably have a different set of attributes. You may not be here. If it were another sperm, it would be that sperm's soul your parents would have born. That almost person could have an entirely different soul. Does it all depend on who you're conceiving with? Or does the world automatically balance itself? Put the right soul in the right body for that particular time and place? If conception has no influence, what accounts for the distribution of flaws? It's our idiosyncrasies that form human behavior. It is a never-ending competition to see who has the fewest flaws. Or in other words, who has the most power. There are the 6 ways to win. Be bigger. Be faster. Be stronger. Be smarter. Be better. Be more vicious. But power is nothing without direction. Power is the force that selfishness produces. No one has ever exerted power into anything that did not reward that power with some form of bliss. And what is bliss? The destination of temptation. What calls our names? What sensations must our bodies consume? What acts are so wonderful that we cannot resist them? To want. You must want. Without want, there is no action. We want what matters to us. What is it that matters? The security and fulfillment of life. to not die, to enjoy, to execute the actions that ensure my existence. And then, what can I do to make this existence better? My existence better. Selfishness. How to handle the instinct of selfishness. Selfishness precedes action, and actions depend on one's ability to achieve selfish desires. What are your wants, and what are your abilities to achieve those wants? An alignment of the two makes everyone who they are. How much power do you have to acquire exactly what you want from this life? Whoever has the most power to cause harm is the one who determines what is right. The more lethal you are, the higher your chances for survival. A lack of power is a void that will be filled as soon as power passes by. This is a world where it is required to kill another living creature and eat them so you can continue. It is required to steal life. To love your life so much that you will take another's away to keep your own. We do it 3 times every day. We are now the apex predator. The most impressive piece of technology to defend a culture against violence is the presence of money. It is a weapon the way that a shield is a weapon. It is protection. Money exists only in the minds of men. Numbers are invisible notions. Math is perfection's comprehensible medium, perfection's skeleton. The wild of the jungle grows in the golden ratio. Is math God? Is money math's creation? Money is leading the way. Who's to say that money's to trust? For how long are we going to follow the current of currency? How are we so sure that its destination is also where we want to be? It wouldn't be shocking that when money declared a winner, the game's going to be over. Money's game is monopoly. That's what happens when numbers are in control.
the blood that's pumping, keeping you alive. We've got it all worked out, the plans all made. If we believe in the fight, then we're all saved. It's gonna hurt for a while, but it would anyways. Let us stand resolute with our voices raised. We have a right to insist to be free and brave, but that should cease to exist.
Caravans lie the sun and the
What is the mind? Thought, although impossible to see or touch, is with us always. We have the ability to command thought whenever we want, and it has the ability to announce itself whenever it wants. This incessant mental symbolism explaining the details of our perspective. Our minds are snake fans and porcupine quills. Thoughts tend to behave very similarly to living creatures. They are lined with a selfish tone. Whereas the body knows it's going to die, thought thinks it can live forever. Thought's most efficient weapon is language. Words very well may be in a war with other words. Now that we've connected, now that we're communicating, how long is it going to take before there's only one language? Before the Tower of Babel is rebuilt? 1,000 years? 5,000 years? There is either one language that is trying to unify itself, or there are several languages attempting to conquer the others. Language is only communication. Language is only explanation. Explanation of one's self, one's feelings, one's intentions, one's intelligence, one's wants. It's impossible to communicate without explaining something. Explanation. X marks the spot. And what is an explanation, other than a fulfillment of a curiosity? Our questions are our flashlights in the night. What should I do today? What should I eat today? I wonder what it would be like to have sex with them. I wonder what I would spend money on if I made more. Is my body capable of that? What's going to happen to me if I do that? How can I make life better? Whatever we want most dictates what we do. There is always a presentation of temptations, the resources and actions it takes to achieve those temptations, and the possible outcomes from satisfying those temptations. The answer to that equation is what you do. The math that is done in calculating actions is the math of reason, the reason you want things, and the reasoning it takes to achieve them. Logic, the navigational captain of the ship in the sea of options. Where is the captain going? It all depends on education. Education is not just schools, but all the influence of a soul.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Can I help you?
I was wondering, can you hold this for me and
Yeah.
please?
Yeah, we sure can. Orchid's
Okay.
a gorgeous flower. Do you know what's interesting about orchids?
No.
They symbolize innocence, purity, and perfection.
Aww.
Yeah,
I didn't
and
know
we'll
that.
hold on to this for you when you're ready, and you can just pay when you pick it up. All I
Okay.
need is a name to hold it under.
Okay, Amelia? Oh, hey, Poppy! Hey! Hi! Hi! Hold still! Hold still! Come here! Come here! Come here! Oh, you're a good puppy. Aren't you good? Where do you live? Let me see where you live. Oh, okay. We gotcha. Come here. Come here. Can I pick you up? Can I pick you up? Come here. Let me pick you up. Uh-oh. Here. We go. We're going. We're gonna go home, okay? All right, we're gonna look and see where you live. Is this where you live? Is this where you live? Here's your house. Thank you. We're almost home. There's a fence back there. We can get you back there. Here you are. You're home again. Here you go. See you, puppy. Puppy, come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Let me take your picture. That looks good. That looks good. Good job. Bye. Yeah.
A soul appears to come with some personality inherent, but that soul can't help but go through experience. Experience is education. Education is wisdom. Wisdom is the past success in temptation hunting. Intelligence is being able to apply wisdom to the present. What defines the rules we live by? Laws stem from morals. Morals are the appropriate actions that leave one with no guilt. Morals are most influenced by community, by their customs, by the way they survive. Our techniques of survival are the core of our personal habits and standards. Is illusion leading the way? The illusion of what something could be. The illusion of what everything might be. Governments create laws to guide the community towards their illusion of utopia. Illusion is the possible future. Illusion is the curiosity of temptation satisfaction. Illusions have a presence. Illusions have gravity. God could either be an illusion on people, or people may be illusioning God. If God is an illusion, does the whole idea of God come from the memory of the womb? For children, come from the presence of their parents? For adults, come from the lost feeling of youth? Our idea of God tends to run very similarly to the sensations received from those three events. There is another plant in the mental garden that has an ominous presence by the name of superstition. A superstition calls for you, touches you, can have command over you. A superstitious act that is enacted out correctly leaves one in Zen. A superstition that is not obeyed can leave one disorientated and out of rhythm. God very well may be a superstition. But then is all superstition God? Is any act of superstition performed a prayer from God's point of view? Or is there a particular sliver of superstition that is God? Is the presence of a superstition a blessing? If God is a superstition, did that superstition come inherently in our minds, or did we form it? If we formed it, it came from coincidence, either pleasant or painful. To have luck is to have more pleasant coincidences. To have bad luck is to have painful coincidences. Rituals and superstitions are performed as an attempt to influence coincidence. The notion that our creative visualization will bring forth our temptations. Hope and Zen. For superstition to exist, for rituals to have effect, it would mean that there is universal vulnerability. That what is going to happen to you isn't already in the works. God may be the sensation of our personal unconscious, from wherever my thoughts come from, or from the sensation of the collective unconscious. Is there an unconscious that floats around all of us? An invisible reservoir of soon-to-be mental activity that our minds breathe like air. The most significant signs come in dreams. There is nothing that belongs to one more than their own dreams. But what is composing the dream? What is moulding and displaying symbols in the form of signs for my mind to vicariously experience and later interpret? Is my mind both making the dream and living the dream? At the time, my mind doesn't know it's a dream. It keeps participating as if it thought the dream was life itself. The strongest reason to believe in the afterlife is the fact that we dream. If our consciousness can go somewhere else when our body goes to sleep, why couldn't it go somewhere when the body dies? Most likely, if the soul goes on, the consciousness goes to dreamland when the body dies. Think of how the mind transitions back when you wake from sleep. When the dream's over, the mind has no problem coming back to reality. To be back in reality and remember a dream that was existent just moments before causes a reflection of introspection. For the dream almost always reflects emotions felt recently in reality. There is the sense that dreams are trying to tell us something, trying to guide us. The end of dreams are very important. It's amazing the way dreams unfold in such randomness and then wrap up so succinctly as if the dream knew where it was headed the whole time. As if my dream composer not only created with master strokes, but withheld the point of the dream until the very end, as if it knew the entire time the moment I was going to wake. The memory from dreams is the stem of imagination. Myths are the combination of dreams and imagination. Collections of symbols and signs, our picture book of the unconscious. The messages that myths carry differ from region to region, even person to person. But all myths correspond to emotions. Every person accepts the myths that associate most closely with their desired emotions. We always move towards whatever makes us say, "This feels so good." We call what makes us feel good beautiful. Every creature follows beauty. It is beauty that makes us reproduce. It is beauty that makes us continue. Beauty comes in two forms, the most pleasing slivers of all the senses, and then also in personal or empathetic pain. We do see beauty in the pain of ourselves and others. The cut along the face enhances all of its other characteristics. And love is the feeling of beauty. It is love of whatever we find beautiful that precedes all action. It is the conflict of love that precedes all hate. This is the struggle of life, the battle against the conflicts of love. In times of choice, one trusts the instinct, their gut, their visceral sensation of direction, their compass that leads them towards quality. The way a bird flies south for winter. It's often said that animals follow their instinct. They follow the highest quality of life. And so do we. Quality is that which is superior or condensed. Anything that is done with extraordinary ability or grace in any form or fashion holds quality. Any time that you can look at one thing and see 2 or 10 or 100 is time well spent. Any time more time than present is collected into a graspable manner, quality exists. The flavor from stew, a well-played instrument, the future in children, or anything maintained. Beauty is the reward for the constant pursuit of quality. From a novice to a professional, to the health of diet and exercise, to the offspring of good breeding, beauty is the currency of quality.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm well. What brings you here?
I've always loved sitting in an empty church.
What about full churches?
Sometimes.
Why did you come here today?
To think.
To think about what?
Everything.
Everything. Do you have any questions?
No. I always thought it was strange that Christians chose the crucifix.
Why?
It's just not what I would have chosen.
Jesus died for our sins. We should always remember that.
It just scares me.
What?
That if you follow in Jesus' footsteps, the same thing could happen to you.
There aren't very many crucifixions these days.
There are other kinds.
Have you accepted Jesus as your Lord and Savior?
If I were born during Jesus' time, I would have loved to see him. I would have traveled all around the world. But I'm not born during his time, so I just don't know. I have no way to know.
We have witness accounts.
I don't really trust people. Jesus may have been God, but I don't remember hearing any accounts of Jesus recalling the times of creation or what went into making the universe.
Well, Jesus is the Son of God.
If Jesus was the Son of God, that would mean that there was time before Jesus' birth. And Jesus was not God of that. If there was a divine power that bred Jesus, I'm more interested in that divine power.
Why don't you trust people?
Because I used to.
In seek of temptation, one goes towards meaning. Whatever they believe is the meaning of life. Life either feels like it has meaning because we're alive and our lives mean something to us, or we're alive because there's a meaning. Is there anyone out there who doesn't automatically imply meaning to coincidence? Is coincidence fate? Time just unraveling? If time, actions, and motion are guaranteed to behave within mathematical certainty, why would people have free will? Why would our choices be the only power to go against the momentum of the universe? Is what we call free will only the emotion derived from not being able to see ahead in time? The feeling may exist, but that doesn't mean that the future isn't bound to be exactly what's going to be. For the set of events that are destined to happen, to happen. The present is always the end product of an equation. Substitute people for numbers. Math is still math. Confusion comes from not knowing how numbers are related, or if parts of the equation are still hidden. Everything up until the now leaves us with only one option, and that is the next thing we do. One action causes the next. The combination of all your thoughts, with all your experience, with all your situation, and with your conditions will determine what you are doing, presently, forever. That will never stop happening. If time had a telescope, could we look into the future and see exactly how it's going to be? Will there be no surprises? Only confusion and wonder at more complicated realities reigning on the ignorant. Are we destined to live out our story? Whatever it's going to be, whatever it will be. Is there no choice? Is there no way your future could be different? We can't help but be ourselves 100% of the time. It is awe-striking when fate lets you glimpse a sliver of the beauty of the construction of its foundation. The problem we have with fate is that it gives those who do what we consider evil an excuse for their behavior, as well as provide those that suffer unjustified pain the notion that it was bound to happen. There is an explanation for everything. There is only one explanation. There are so many sides to the die of truth. and only one comes out on top. With the information we have, an answer isn't obvious. We don't know what we are. We don't know where we're going. We enter this life not remembering anything before this life. Into this existence with space, earth, sun, water, air, killing, on the only planet with life and a member of the most dominant, dangerous, intelligent, capable life form that apparently has ever existed. After medicine, agriculture, architecture, we're here. Poisons, missiles, guns, satellites, communication. What are we now to think of ourselves, of our time here on this planet? We don't know what happens when we die. This might be it, or maybe not. The big mystery. Maybe at the end of life, as soon as your life hits your last moment, your soul swims backward in time, instantly to the moment you're conceived, and you live your life all over again, occasionally feeling déjà vu. Or maybe the life that's in your body is the one true life. Everything else is a painting on the walls of your existence. Only reason assumes one away from the thinking that they are the solipsis. The one with the only true life. The belief that the world began when one was born and will die when they die. Maybe we're already dead. Maybe the earth is an egg that will eventually hatch a giant universal creature. Maybe Earth is inside a womb. Maybe the universe and life began as a result of a collision of two objects in a higher dimension. If the Big Bang happened, then we are still exploding. The power that would have to go into starting that. Why would something explode to that magnitude? And how did that explosion contain order? In that explosion, the precise distribution of particles flew into directions where those particles joined together, behaved with perfect balance, took forms, and evolved into the life that now exists. Nice bounce. There are so many possible explanations. There are so many sides to the die of truth. And who knows what I'm forgetting or what I haven't thought of. Until we clearly remember previous lives, until we know we are reincarnated, until we know that our soul continues, there is the possibility that those possibilities are still possible. And with the possibility that we just truly come to the end of the line comes the guarantee that it can never be proven beforehand, instilling curiosity of the possibilities to the final breath. So the die rolls on, but it only rolls in the eye of the mind. Truth doesn't change, only one's perspective of it. This existence examination. It's just as improbable for life to accidentally begin as it is for a God to have created all this. Life is so unbelievable that there is not one explanation of it that is not absurd in some way. Every explanation seems unlikely. But here we are.
just a child with a mess that children make, and we were running wild, no thoughts for what we'd break. But gone are all the days, gone are all the days, and once we learned to hide, our size did keep us safe. The sidewalk cracks were wide, but to jump on made us brave. But then the darkness came a-creeping over every place. Over time we took to sleeping and let the weeds take over this place. Well, how about the backyard, sons and daughters? Come on, we gotta get some work done. The bones, I'm told, they hold the place up, so why crack 'em away? The rocks we shake and everything we take and still think we'll be okay. But gone are all the days, gone are all the days, where the limbs outside this house are dignified by the forces uncontained. And how will we survive when the wells run dry and our muscle does remain? For when we rode the thunder, steely faced, and we kicked our heels into the belly of the chase. So becomes a garden song.